Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is KLEVI. As usual, we are bridging the gap between African Americans and also African. We want to preach everybody that Africa is really the best place for you to be. We have our sister Cara here, who is also in Ghana from the diaspora. We will let her introduce herself to us, then we'll continue our convo.
Well, thank you so much, KLEVI, for inviting me. My name is Cara Stevens, and like KLEVI said, I am from the diaspora. I am originally from New York, but my family is from the Caribbean, so we're from Antigua and Tobago. And I'm also an entrepreneur when it comes to helping women heal their relationship with money. And it is really a pleasure to be in Ghana. I was in Ghana when I was a student. I was studying at the University of Legon nearly 20 years ago. And from there, I had like a deep connection. And here I am 20 something years later, bringing my family to the continent. And I married a Ghanaian.
Well, that's good. What really inspired you to come to Ghana?
Well, my husband and I are Pan Africans. And as Pan Africanists, we believe in the liberation of all people of African descent worldwide. And we think that part of that Pan Africanism is sharing resources. So being able to develop the continent and being able to enjoy life on the continent. And so part of that process was trying to figure out when we would move. We knew we were going to eventually move to the continent, or at least the Caribbean. But since my husband is from Ghana and he has strong ties here, and we have a daughter, we wanted to make sure that she had a positive childhood. And that could be very difficult in America because of a lot of issues of colorism and of racism. And I didn't want her to experience those things. I wanted her to experience a lot of joy and just normalizing her blackness. And so that was one of the key motivations for us coming here. And I think another motivation was the fact that I was a vice principal in the States. And I had come to a point where I wanted to do something else. And I was growing my business, the Frugal Feminista, on the side. And it was growing and growing and growing, where I did speaking engagements, I wrote books, and I did this all on the side. And I wanted to give myself the opportunity and the permission to grow. And I wanted to do it in a place where I could be inspired, where I could connect with different people. So those are some of the reasons why we came to Ghana.
Well, tell me about your educational background last 20 years that you had in Ghana.
Okay, so so my background, I went to Oberlin in Ohio, and one of my favorite professors was Professor Saka, and he was from Ghana, and he encouraged me to come to Ghana. He said, "You need to go home," and I always remember that. And when he came, he actually visited me on campus, and it was like one of the best memories that I had of Ghana. And quite frankly, when I was at the University of Legon, I wasn't really studying that much. I was kind of having fun, right?
Yeah, enjoyment.
And that was the best thing. Is like, yeah, I could learn and be in a classroom, and that was cool. But I made a lot of friends. I hung out, went to the Volta region, went to the Eastern region, and so being able to see the similarities between Ghana and Antigua, Ghana and Tobago, made Ghana familiar. It wasn't exactly the same because, I've called Obibini Obroni, I've been called all those things.
Yeah.
Those don't bother me because I know they're not knowledgeable about the slave trade and things like that. And I don't allow other people to define my Africanness. And I don't think that being from the diaspora is in of itself something beautiful. The fact that I'm from New York, from the Caribbean, that's a whole black thing too. So I think when I think about Ghana, I think about an addition to my blackness, but not a replacement for it, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. So I just want to ask you something. I am on a trip on bridging the gap between African Americans and also African as well. Tell me, I just don't want to go privately or maybe go deeply into you and your husband, but tell me the experience so far dating a Ghanaian man.
Well, I mean, I've dated a few, so I guess I have a little bit of some data, but they're all different in their own ways. But what I loved about my husband was that he was very warm, thoughtful. He liked to have fun. I think that we were partners in the relationship, and when it came to parenting, he was more than a partner. He often took the lead in a lot of things because I was a new parent, but he had grown up with, he was an older brother, so he knew how to deal with siblings. I was the youngest, so people took care of me. So he really helped me when I was struggling in motherhood. I love that about him. And so also with him is that he doesn't talk much in terms of talking, he just does. So when it came to moving to Ghana, we had said a few years ago, yeah, we'll move to Ghana. And then when the pandemic hit and then we got Trump in office, he was like, okay, let's start thinking seriously about how can we really make this happen? Because based on the political issues that were going on in America, it didn't seem like it was going to be a safe place to live. I mean, we'll be safe, but you never know. My husband's a black man. He could be shot and killed just going to the store.
Yeah.
So when he said he was going to do it, then we started looking at houses. Then I knew it was serious. Then we started putting money. So when you start putting your money down, then you know you're serious. So I would say that in dating him, and I guess the other Ghanaian men, the other ones were okay, but he was the best one. Wow. Yeah.
Well, you guys were living in the state before you moved to Ghana, right. Africa precisely. What was the preparation? What are the things that you guys considered before moving permanently to Ghana?
That's a great question. So, like I said, I'm a financial person, so I always look at the numbers. So every time you want to move, you always have to think how much is it going to cost you. So we had to think about buying a home because in Ghana, when it comes to renting, it's very different than in the States. You rent month to month, but here it's like years. You had to put down money for a year or two. We didn't want to do that, so we had to take a little bit longer to figure out what house would we buy, and if the house was actually belonged to the person that was selling it. Because we had a couple of problems with people trying to sell a house that wasn't theirs. So we had to get lawyers involved. We had to have family members on the ground to help figure out, to move the construction people to get things done, to have someone on top of them. On the side of the States, it was me deciding to leave my job. So what I did a lot of extra part-time. So I worked more so I could save up savings because we wanted to make sure that as we had a transition from the States to here, that I didn't have to go straight to looking for work or even starting on the business. I needed time to get acclimated, time to find my daughter a school, and decide, even when it comes to education, what kind of school do we want Senna to go to or my daughter to go to. So it was figuring out how much it's going to cost to send her to school, how much are the plane tickets, how much is transportation, will we get a car, and how much would that cost. So we take all those things into consideration. And on top of that, the other thing too that a lot of people don't talk about is that even though you leave your country, that doesn't leave you still have the responsibilities of all the people that you left behind. So I had my mom that I had to take care of, which I still keep in touch with, so to make sure that her financials are okay. So you just don't end up leaving behind everything. You have to put people in place and structures in place to ensure that it's still smooth for those that you leave behind. And also when it came to like our home, we were able to find somebody to rent it. And there are a number of other things like, shipping, shipping to Ghana, holding your place in storage. There are a number of other things that come to it. So sometimes you don't want to look at the price tag because it's serious. But in general, we gave ourselves also internet. Like my husband works remotely and he very much important for the internet. And also when the lights go out all the time, you have to kind of bring your infrastructure. So we had to make sure that in thinking about what internet services we would take, which ones would allow for the strongest or any type of generator or backup source in case the lights go out.
Well, in your own way, if I should ask you this, what are some of the similarities and also the differences between the life in Ghana and also the life in the States?
Oh, that's a great question. So I feel like life is better in Ghana, to be quite honest. Like I'm still trying to find community. So anybody out there, if you want to hang, let me know. But I find that, well, I'm black, right? So I blend in that way. But then when I talk, people are like, oh, you're not from here. But they know of African Americans. So I think I still pay more because I am foreign. That's fine though. But I would say that the similarities, all the things that you think are only in the States are here too. So you don't have Grubhub, but you have Glovo, right? Yeah. You have Uber, you have, was it Yango?
Yeah, Yango, Bolt.
And Bolt. Yeah. So you think that you can get from one place to the other without any problem. I just think like all the things that you think that are only exclusively in the States in terms of development, they're here. Some of the similarities also include, I think, the education. You have tiers of education. You can have your child go to a school that is linked to the British system or an American system. I think there's similarities there. I mean, I think also, what else do I see as similarities? I think in general, even though you say Americans, I'm gonna also think about African Americans too in comparison to Ghana. I would say that we love flavor in our food. Like no matter where you go in Black America, your food has to taste good.
Yeah.
And I think the same in Ghana. All the flavors and the spices. I think you'll never feel like you can't find food to eat here because the cuisine is so good. Same thing with Black American food or even Caribbean food is very similar. So like you have contumere and yam. We have like saltfish and spinach in Antigua. So there's a lot of food similarities because a lot of the people that are in the Caribbean came from West Africa as slaves. So they keep up the tradition.
Well, now that you're talking about Ghanaian food or maybe African food, let me ask you, what are some of your best favorite food that you've tasted so far whilst you're in Ghana?
Oh, I eat wache almost for the past week. I've been eating wache every night. I eat red in the morning too. I like my beans and plantain. I sometimes have some fish inside.
Yeah.
What else do I like? Okra stew. I like palm nut soup with some fufu. I feel like I eat it all. I mean tilapia, tilapia, and that's what banku.
Yeah.
I don't think I eat banku that much. I eat fufu more than I eat banku. And what else? I mean, I eat well. You know what I'm saying? Like I eat very, very well.
So do you perchance kind of prepare some of those food that you just mentioned?
Oh, me, no. So you could never catch me in the kitchen in America. So I struggle with the cooking myself, but I do know how to taste and eat well. So that's not my strength, but I know how to eat really well.
Wow. So tell me, now that you and your husband are in Ghana now, do you intend to move back to America to find a living or maybe to work over there again?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I keep ourselves open. I know for like the work that I do, I'm going back to America for some clients, so they're flying me back to do some work for them. So what I see is a life between both where we're based in Ghana and go back and forth to the US because our family and friends are there. And I also see my friends coming here because a lot of them, when I shared with them that I was leaving, they were like, oh, now I have a place to stay. Make sure you have a guest room so I can stay with you. So I think that the fact that I moved is also increasing the curiosity and the interest of my friends who are all in New York or all in the States to come and visit and have a positive experience. And I text them all the time and share my experiences with them.
Well, do you regret being in America, as you are saying that life in Ghana is more of comfortabilities and so forth? Do you regret being in America?
No, I don't regret any of my experiences because I think that having grown up, I have a lot of great memories. Like New York is still home to me, all the goods and the bads of it. I had some of my favorite memories in New York, and I also met my husband in New York. So I don't think I would change it, but I'm glad I was introduced to the idea of Pan Africanism. But I also know too that part of my experience in New York was being Caribbean. So I used to go to Antigua and Tobago every summer for a really long time. So I always felt not only American, but I also had strong ties to the Caribbean. So I think moving to Ghana, that experience made it easier. So I don't regret anything.
Well, this is an open conversation that we are having. I just want you to clarify something for me. We have Ghana, we have Trinidad and Tobago. So why did you choose? Like, I want to know, why did you specifically choose to be in Ghana? Like, I don't know, because there's Trinidad and Tobago for you to be.
And
so why? Yes. So why did you choose Ghana?
Well, that's a good question. I would say my husband has stronger ties here because he was born in Ghana.
Yeah, you said that.
And so those kinds of ties, and I came to Ghana, and I think my daughter loved Ghana more. So she came here more often than she went to the Caribbean. She just went to Tobago this year. So I think that her love of it I think his experience and my experience, I think, is the main reason that we came. And I think also um, the ease of life, I think, is another reason that we came here. I mean, Antigua and Tobago, they have it too. But I think that there's more of a built-in community for my family here than it is for Antigua. Because my family, I have like my dad and a few other people in Antigua and an uncle in Tobago. But most of my people are in New York and most of my husband's people are here.
Finally, you are in Ghana, and they were happy about you being in Ghana. So, what are some of the steps are you taking in place to also move a whole lot of diasporas to Ghana?
I mean, that's a hard task. So I understand what you're saying. Like they didn't want me to go because we were friends. Well, I could only share my experiences. So I have an Instagram page where I talk about personal finance, but also I'm branching out to talk about the financials of moving to Ghana and to talk about my honest experience about going to Ghana. And so I'll be showcasing parts of Ghana, like everyday life, like what is it, like what's it like to like go to the bank or get just go do something. I don't know. Get your nails done or something like that, just to kind of showcase what life is just normal, the way you may think life is in the States. And I'm also going to show like random places, not random places, but like places that are known in Ghana, like the parks, like the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, and go to like the historical sites, so people can see that Ghanaians are not living in bushes and in trees, and they're not like drumming every single last minute. Like we're not pulling up a drum circle every time you walk down the street, So I think that being African American or from a diaspora helps normalize Ghana and Africa to my other diasporians. And so I think that even when I post on it on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or on Facebook, you get so many comments about, oh, I want to come, you're inspiring me. So, and a lot of people say, now that you're there, I can come visit. So I think that's how I inspire. And I may do a couple, like once I've lived here a little bit longer to kind of give more ins and outs, I may do tours, I know a lot of African American girls want a luxurious experience. So I'll find all the hot spots in Ghana and I'll bring them here.
Well, we can't talk about Cara without talking about her financial aspects of life and also what she does for a living. Tell me about what you do for a living.
So in addition to just being a mom and all that kind of stuff, I am an entrepreneur and I have a business called The Frugal Feminista. And for the past 10 years, I've been helping hundreds of women heal their relationship with money. I didn't bring my book with me, but I've written a bestseller book called Heal Your Relationship with Money that's in universities. And I do speaking engagements. I do trainings. I teach at schools to help the little ones get their minds right about personal finance. And I do brand partnerships with companies like AARP and the Ad Council and T. Rowe Price to really give information about the products that can help people of color, Black people and Black women really build wealth. And I think another piece that it's an interesting thing. I'm going to ask you what you think, KLEVI. Like, there's like a backlash sometimes of African Americans coming to Ghana because they think that, one, we don't belong here, or two, we raise the prices. Do you think that's true, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, for somebody thinking African Americans not belongs to Ghana or maybe to Africa, I wouldn't agree to that. I wouldn't say that African American doesn't belong here. This is their home because Americans have America to be their home. Europeans have Europe to be their home. But what about you, African Americans? Africa is your home. That is where you live. That is where you are from. So this is where we have to come back home and then build Africa the way we want it to be.
Yeah.
So, well, for me, I would say African Americans, diasporas are already accepted in Africa or maybe all over the continent in Africa. But apart from that, I don't know what else I can say.
I appreciate that. No, because there's lots of different conversations. Like African Americans don't think highly of Africans. They have misconceptions about the wealth, and then some Africans think that those in diaspora are no longer African because they were enslaved. And I think there's something in between. I think that I think the benefit of having the collaboration is that we get the best of both worlds, right? You get to learn new aspects of yourself by connecting with different types of people. And then you get to see like, wow, in Africa, like say in the Gullah Islands and the Geechee Islands, I think off of South Carolina or North Carolina, they maintain some of their Africanisms, and you wouldn't know that unless you were open to seeing the similarities. I just think in general that it's definitely an individual experience, but I also do think that just the same way when it comes to Jews, there's always an opportunity to go back to Israel. I think there should be some type of structured way. I know there was the year of the return, but something that's on a consistent basis that brings, and these kinds of platforms that help in conversations and normalizing it. But I do think, and I feel like I can be a part of that once I figure out my whole life here, is kind of bringing and introducing each other to one another to see that we're very much the
Great.
same. And we need each other. It's not just
It's a
like,
good idea.
not like a one-off, but like we need to be
Yeah.
like this.
Yes, we all need each other. You
Yes.
know, everybody's important in this
Sure.
chain. You know,
For sure.
everybody's really important. So that is what I would say, because I see Africa to be destined for success and so forth.
Sure.
And you know, in Africa, everything is possible.
Right.
I would definitely say Africa doesn't need any other continent to survive. That is,
Right.
if to my opinion, that is what I would say. But maybe people might have these different perceptions about what I am saying, but it's my opinion.
Sure.
So I can share my opinion to whoever that is listening, or what. For that one,
Right.
it is my opinion. So wow. So tell me, as you are in Ghana now, what are some of the things that you're putting in place in terms of creating opportunities, or maybe creating jobs for people to also help bridge the gap between African Americans and also African?
So I've only been here for a little while, but in terms of jobs on the continent, well, in terms of the work that we do around the house, we've been able to get people to help us. So we're employing people to, like, we're building the house. That's all Ghana. That's all Ghanaians that are helping with the support of the house. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate financial literacy on the continent. Doing some financial literacy workshops with one of the co-working spaces shortly for women. And if anyone has any ideas about bringing me in, to speak about all things personal finance, all things business finance for businesses here, social media, all those things, I would love to at least be a part of the helping of women in particular. No shade, to the men, but anyone, honestly. But I love being able to support women businesses in whatever kind of way, whether it be email marketing, just understanding their financials, their basic understandings of online webinars, things like that. I love doing those things.
Well, maybe I need to announce this. I sell land in Almina, so it's just $2,300 including paperwork. So maybe if you're interested in buying land in Almina, you can just contact me, and then I will get you a good land. You know, it's not a waterlogged area. Well, you were talking about your business.
Sure.
So I want to know, was it only ladies that you are into, or maybe you also help other businesses that are also not owned by ladies?
Yeah, I mean, in general, when I first started the Frugal Feminista, it was more because I wanted to help women that were my age understand personal finances, because I was in a lot of debt. I didn't know how to get out of debt, and I had to teach myself how to get out of debt. And I would talk also about what it meant to be young and not have a job. And so a lot of my friends would read it, my blog at that time, and it got traction. People started to read it and enjoy it. And then I started to write for larger platforms. And then I specifically honed in on talking about emotions and money and people's feelings about money. And a lot of women resonated with that. So when I look at my analytics, like 97% of people who follow me are women, 2% are men. So that's kind of like how the data goes. But I'm open. What I do find, though, like when I do financial literacy for couples, the men definitely open up too. So I'm open. I'm open to everybody that wants to be supported.
Wow. Maybe if you like to put your social media handle out there for people to also follow.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, that's great. So what I can do is also, I'll send you the link for the free first couple of pages for my book, Heal Your Relationship with Money. You can find me on all platforms. Frugal Feminista on formerly known as Twitter, that X. You can find me on Instagram, Frugal Feminista, and on Facebook, The Frugal Feminista. And on LinkedIn, it's Cara Stevens. But you could probably find me. You could see Frugal Feminist, and you'll find me there as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're so welcome. If you are watching this video, please kindly support my sister. Kindly support me, KLEVI. As you're watching, keep sharing, keep subscribing, keep liking, and do all the comments and everything for us. We are here to bring you more videos, more interviews, more bridging the gap between African Americans and Africans. Bye bye.